Some of the smartest people you'll ever meet stay in unhealthy relationships, trust manipulative bosses, invest in obvious scams, or ignore warning signs that seem painfully obvious to everyone else. It's tempting to ask, how did they not see it? But that's the wrong question. The real question is, why can intelligence sometimes make people more likely to overlook obvious red flags? Because intelligence doesn't protect you from bias. Sometimes it gives bias better tools. We like to think intelligence is a shield against bad decisions. The higher your IQ, the more rational you become. The more successful you are, the harder you are to fool. Reality isn't that simple. Psychologists have repeatedly found that intelligence and reasoning ability don't automatically lead to better judgment. In many situations, highly intelligent people become exceptionally skilled at explaining away evidence that contradicts what they already want to believe. They don't miss red flags because they can't see them. They miss them because they can build convincing explanations for why those flags don't matter. Picture someone entering a new relationship. Their friends notice the warning signs almost immediately. The constant checking in, the subtle guilt trips, the emotional highs followed by sudden withdrawal. To everyone else, the pattern is obvious, except the person living inside it. Not because they're naive, because every warning comes with a perfectly reasonable explanation. They're just insecure. They've been hurt before. They only act this way because they care about me. Each explanation sounds harmless on its own. Together, they create a story where the obvious slowly disappears. This isn't stupidity, it's something psychologists call motivated reasoning. The brain isn't always searching for the truth. More often, it's searching for consistency. Once we become emotionally invested in a person, an idea, or even our own identity, our minds quietly stop asking, "Is this true?" and start asking, "How can I make this fit?" That's where intelligence can become surprisingly dangerous, because intelligent people are often exceptional storytellers, not just to other people, to themselves.
The more mental tools you have, the easier it becomes to defend a belief instead of questioning it. Think about a brilliant lawyer. They can argue either side of a case with incredible skill, but outside the courtroom, that same talent can become a trap. Instead of changing their mind when new evidence appears, they generate increasingly sophisticated reasons why they don't have to. It's like hiring the world's greatest defense attorney to represent your favorite illusion. The evidence may be overwhelming, but somehow the argument never loses. And this pattern doesn't stop with relationships. It shows up in careers. Someone spends years chasing the promotion they've always wanted. The workload keeps growing. Their health starts declining. Promises from management keep getting broken. Friends tell them it's time to leave. But walking away means admitting that years of effort may have been spent pursuing the wrong goal. So they stay. Not because staying makes sense, because leaving would force them to rewrite the story they've been telling themselves. Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy. The more we've invested, the harder it becomes to stop investing, even when the evidence clearly says we should. Most intelligent people know this bias exists. Many can explain it in detail. That doesn't make them immune. In fact, it can make them even more vulnerable, because they're often better at justifying why one more year, one more chance, or one more investment will finally make everything worthwhile. But perhaps the hardest red flag to recognize isn't outside you at all. It's inside your identity. If you've always seen yourself as someone who makes good decisions, admitting you've been manipulated becomes incredibly painful. Ironically, intelligence can make that pain even greater, because the smarter you believe you are, the harder it becomes to accept that you were fooled. So instead of changing your conclusion, you protect your self-image.
The red flag isn't ignored because it's invisible. It's ignored because acknowledging it threatens who you believe you are. History is filled with brilliant people who made catastrophic decisions despite extraordinary intelligence, not because they lacked information, because information alone rarely changes beliefs.
Emotion does. Identity does. Belonging does. One famous line of psychological research revealed something deeply unsettling. When some people were presented with clear evidence against their beliefs, they didn't become less certain, they became more certain. The evidence wasn't the problem, their interpretation was. The human mind isn't a camera faithfully recording reality. It's much closer to a lawyer building the strongest possible case. Every new fact becomes another witness, sometimes for the truth, sometimes for the defense. And once you notice this, something uncomfortable happens. You start recognizing it in yourself. Think back to a time you ignored a warning. Maybe it was about a relationship, a business opportunity, a friendship, a habit. Chances are someone tried to warn you. Maybe several people did. The clues were there, but they didn't fit the story you wanted to believe. Only later did the pattern become impossible to ignore. Looking back, the red flags seem painfully obvious. At the time, they all felt perfectly explainable. That's not stupidity. That's hindsight. And perhaps that's the greatest irony of all. The smartest people aren't the ones who never miss red flags. They're the ones who build systems that help them catch themselves when they do. They actively seek disagreement. They invite criticism. They ask questions like, what evidence would genuinely convince me I'm wrong? Because they understand something many people never do. Intelligence isn't measured by how brilliantly you defend your beliefs. It's measured by how willingly you update them when reality disagrees. So, the next time you wonder why someone ignored an obvious warning, remember this. The human brain wasn't designed to see reality exactly as it is. It evolved to protect meaning, identity, relationships, emotional stability. Sometimes those goals lead us closer to the truth. Sometimes they pull us away from it. And perhaps the most dangerous red flag of all is believing you're simply too smart to ever miss one.